Well, that was a very dramatic entrance. Welcome everyone to another episode of Trading Spaces. We are going to do our best not to make this just about SpaceX because I'm pretty sure everyone's fatigued about it. But we are on SpaceX IPO day. We are going to be talking about crypto primarily. We're going to be digging in a huge amount onto the BTC price action of late. We're going to be talking through a lot of actually super interesting charts in today's session, and especially on the alt side as well as across the majors. There's a few charts that are looking very interesting right now, and certainly in the past couple of weeks have been pretty fun to trade. But before we get started, quick disclaimer as usual that all of the information today is for educational purposes only. None of this should be taken as financial advice. Den, welcome. It's good to be back. How you feeling?
Yes. Hello, friends. I'm really happy we are back. It's been a crazy few weeks on the altcoin side. Now a little bit less movement, but I think that's also due to some of the happenings this week, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. Yeah, SpaceX is all over the feed in every group chat, and everyone is arguing and not agreeing with each other. That's my read. What about you?
That sounds like most feeds that I'm on. Yeah, I think we it's 30 minutes into the trading session. We'll start to see how that IPO kind of price holds up. But I think on the SpaceX side, real quick, this one is obviously, I mean, it is the largest IPO in, human history, and it's been structured in a way that is not actually that conventional. They went with a fixed IPO price. The float was really quite low, and as everyone has seen, it's been incredibly oversubscribed. Most of the banks have been pulling out all the stops to get as many people involved as possible. So, like, my expectation is that the price action today is going to be crazy.
Mm.
How is that going to hold up? I'm unsure, but I know that OpenAI and Anthropic will be watching this very closely and hoping for success so
Our
that it
stream
bodes well
or the
for them.
chart?
What our stream exactly? Yes. All of the OpenAI management team. I mean, most leaders across the world will be watching this stream right now, but in
As they
this
should.
particular example, exactly, right. But I know Sam Altman's a big fan of trading spaces. But what we kind of saw in all of this, especially, I mean, there was a very volatile start to the week and end to last week, and
Yep.
seems to have been a confluence of factors going on. I think first of all, which is easy to forget that we have economic data that comes out in amongst all the craziness, but we had a very hot jobs report that sold off a lot of the market on that on Friday. An okay CPI print this week. Okay being it met expectation. Expectation was that it was going to suck, and it kind of did. I think we're over 4% inflation for the first time in a few years. ECB just hiked rates. Gold is at its lowest point in 6 months, I believe now. And, BTC sold off heavily. A lot of non-yielding assets really don't perform very well when you see yield spike on treasuries and rate expectations going up. And then I think that on top of all of this, we have SpaceX and everyone pulling liquidity out for another round of the great rotation that we are very much in the midst of experiencing. But it's created
Yep.
quite a lot of volatility, right? And we're looking at this chart, Dan, and I remember us drawing a chart that looked a little bit like this near the start of the year. So it's interesting to
Absolutely.
see this play out.
Yeah, it's just nice to see everything coming together, right? Where we had like, I mean, of course, it's always hard to predict exactly how things are going to go because, in the world and therefore in trading and our charts, there's a lot of different circumstances. But I think we always mapped out to have like a few, moves down base, move down base. And I think now we are really coming into like the final leg and the last station of this bear market soon. Whether that's going to be like us consolidating here or, one drop lower, I'm not really sure. I think that really depends on, the war, macro, and just the state of things. But I think from the time perspective, we have just put in so much more of like a convincing big part of the bear market versus when we were like streaming up here, right? Where it was
Yeah.
like super clear that we just needed a lot more time. I think now on the price side, I would say that we have completed like a big part of our journey down, that is. And I think like we do still have some, basing to do on the time side of things. So I think that's where we stand now. And yeah, it's just really exciting to see because I remember the last spaces we did before we had a little summer recess, if you may. I said that, my expectation was that, over the summer, some altcoins would be bottoming a little bit earlier than others. And I remember back then it was kind of like, felt a little bit scary almost saying that because we weren't
Yeah.
actually like really seeing it. But I think in that time span in between, we have actually seen exactly that happen, right? Because our last spaces was, I think, like a month or maybe 5 weeks ago. So that was like somewhere
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah,
And
because
in
we
that
talked
meantime,
specifically about this near chart, didn't we?
yes, we did. We also did caught the move up
Mm.
to somewhere here. Nice 70%. But I think, yeah, that is exactly what we have seen happening. And now we see the stalling of those same charts that looked a little bit strong before. But that is really coming together so nicely, in my opinion, with like BTC potentially having like that slower bleed sideways or maybe a little bit more down. To me, it's all coming together, and I'm like so excited because it really means that there is going to be a time in the next upcoming months or maybe like half a year where we can really step up our activity again and just like chase those outperformers to the upside, which is like my favorite thing to do in trading.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, today it's a nice moment to go over that and just see, yeah, how we want to select those performers, but also how we see like BTC behaving over the
I think
next
that's like
couple of months.
one of the things that you and I were talking a little bit yesterday, and I was kind of saying, and I think I said when we were on the last stream with BTC, as it was starting to make a bit of a move upwards. Um, I I couldn't bring myself to go long on BTC when it was
Mm,
making that move up to 82-ish or wherever we landed. Was it about 83 that we landed up here?
yeah,
And it felt inevitable that we were going to get that another leg down. And I think it's like starting to feel like, while I personally think we're gonna probably go a little bit lower, I don't think it's going to be too crazy. Like if
agree.
someone said to me, like, maybe we wick down as low as like 52 kind of level, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. And then I'd feel good that it's unlikely that we go much further. And I I actually had probably like my first BTC buy like come in at like around that 60K mark in a small amount. And it was like, okay, cool. Like this can just be like I feel good about just accumulating around some of these levels now
Of
without the
course, and
worry of
how
like we
nice
need that another
it,
leg down.
yeah, and if you had that plan also upfront, right? Like that's,
Hmm.
I think, especially when it comes to higher time frame trading, and that's what you and me have been preaching for a lot of months now, is that like if you have that plan ready, like obviously when we were in this leg down, it felt like, not the best, just being in markets and being on the timeline. But if you knew from up here that you wanted to accumulate here, then that's just a plan that you had for months. So why back out when the moment is there, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
congrats. And I think, yeah, these all seem like really nice little lows for
Hmm.
me. If we do make that, one more base down, and I think that to me is beautiful. Anywhere high 40s, mid 50s. I think that's where the magic is going to happen. And listen, if we do just go from here and we put in like some crazy high time frame structure, then that's, then you're buying on confirmation.
Yeah.
Maybe not as nice in price, but nice in peace of mind. But for now, I'm myself definitely leaning towards having one leg more down. Small leg, but a leg.
Yeah. But I think this is like where you feel a lot more comfortable, like taking those entries on the longer time horizon as well, where
Mm,
where we feel like, the rug's going to be pulled from under us. I think it just helps you stick to your plan a little bit more. And I think it is really hard, especially when like, through the rally up to like 82, there was moments where I was like, oh, man, did we actually just bottom out and I've like missed any level of
yeah,
entry, sitting in stable coins thinking, this is not what I had planned. But I think then when you do see the plan come through, which often do if you're patient enough, it it helps reinforce like much better trading, right? So,
totally.
well, I wanted to talk about BTC's forgotten ugly brother, ETH,
Oh
because
God.
had similar scale of drawdown, but just has not
Yeah.
looked healthy
No.
at
I mean,
all.
the issue with the ETH is that where BTC was at least putting like it was at least trying to break above the range,
Yeah.
right? ETH didn't even like do that, only on a wick basis, as you can see here. Same here. If you disregard this little guy. I mean, it is coming into like the support. I did a video on ETH cycle buys like a few months ago. If anyone wants to see my thought process on, accumulating around the lows, I think, anywhere from basically here into into here. I mean, it is, kind of like a range. The only
Hmm.
thing is that you just have to ask yourself whether you're, betting on the fastest horse. Um, yeah, I don't have an answer to that. I think like both BTC and ETH have a lot of systematic risk at the moment.
Mm.
Um, and obviously like we have stuff like that every cycle, right? There's like always something that fears people and that's like, boots people out of their positions. Um, so this time could be exactly that. To
I
me,
think
I'm
also
not in
with
the
ETH, it's
biggest
like,
rush to buy this.
yeah, well, I think
Yeah.
with ETH, a lot of it is like, okay, you usually in prior cycles, you would bet on ETH as, yeah, there's a more potential like volatile upside than BTC without it feeling like a shit coin, right? That could
Mm.
just fall through the
Mm-hmm.
floor. Now we have hype. It feels
Yep.
like if you want that same hype, trading hype this cycle feels to me like the same kind of mentality I had trading ETH
Yeah,
in prior
totally feel
cycles.
you. Yeah.
And it's
I mean,
I think ETH gets stuck in this awkward middle ground now with
yeah, and
hype in play.
100%. And I think also, the world has shifted. Like people's attention span is very different. Like you see it with everything in life, right? It's with markets, with coins, but also with influencers. Things are much more replaceable. The time that energy and attention is very focused on a few big things, that is just like not the case anymore. And I think therefore the rotations are faster and also, you know, I think that the attention just goes towards things that are actually worth it. Not saying that
Mm,
ETH isn't worth it, but I think like right now, what we said before, there's just a lot of risk attached to it. So to me, it makes a lot of sense that people are looking into the direction of things like hype, which is fighting for its life right here.
yeah.
Oh my God. I actually had a position here and I had to nuke it just because of the EMAs that were like not favorable in my opinion. But I think like if we can reclaim here and put in like a strong some sort of move, but I don't know, man.
It was a
It is
beautiful looking chart
battling.
though, like a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it
Oh, it
showed
was.
such
I th
strength.
Yeah, I think I mean Arthur obviously nuked his bag here. I don't know if you saw that whole
Yeah, I did.
drama with him and all his coins. I was riding that wave hard. So I will
Yeah.
not complain because, he pumped a few of my bags that I then sold. Um, but I think, that this here with a little toppy structure coming in kind of was just like not really favorable. I mean, logical, right? That we have a retest. I think also this is nice for anyone loving fibs. We just released the first episode of our fib series with Kraken. And
Mm.
this was perfect. It was the perfect retracement. And, we see it very often that we have a fib structure like this and that we then retest the previous all-time high again. I think the bulls really want to hold this green box on a higher time frame closing basis. I don't know though, with just all the stuff going on, market feels not as clean as it did a few weeks ago. That's something I will say. So I'm not
Yeah, it
sure.
feels like a bet on the market, doesn't it? Like if you
Yes,
if we believe that there's going to be some bullish momentum, it's hard to get away from a hype trade. Like
of
it it
course. Yeah.
it looks like it's on the precipice of one way or the other, there's going to be an aggressive move. Um,
Mm,
but I think the bet right
absolutely.
now is, yeah, exactly this. And we're kind of going through back and forth through these like very big picture narratives outside of just crypto. But we had
Mm,
like e- everyone's underinvested in AI, and then it's like, oh, we're all
yeah,
overinvested in
I
AI. And there's
know.
just like, I remember this when was it Feb when we started kind of going through this kind of back and forth where we were seeing the S&P take like, between 150 and 200 bips swings day by day to the upside, to the downside. And it was just like, we couldn't make up our minds. And we're
Yep.
kind of doing that now.
We are,
And
listen, I will say for the Bears, like if the Bears want to show their balls, like it's here. Like this
yeah.
would be an absolute perfect moment, or maybe something where they do like, they try it and they take out this high, and then that's, your deviation. Yeah, I think, with the EMAs, like you can see, this was a really clean trend all the way from start of April. We've now broken it and we're retesting it from below on a day that is mega important. Obviously the IPO today, but then also, those IPOs in the past. I'm not sure how cherry-picked the data is, but I did see a few graphs circulate on Twitter that marked big IPOs and S&P's reaction after it. It wasn't
Yep.
too pretty. But once again, I don't know how like cherry pick those are, but I think
Well, I think what you,
unfortunately,
I think like in those kind of situations, it does make a lot of sense, right? Because especially in the setup that we've got today, we've got SpaceX, obviously, it's going to be a monster, and there's an enormous amount of retail demand. But there's also this secondary piece where everyone is hyper allocated right now, and in particular, very allocated to AI. And AI makes up, probably more than three quarters now of the S&P. So if you want exposure to trade the SpaceX IPO today, um, well, like most people aren't heavily in cash yet. So it's gonna be a case of do you want to pull from some of the equities that you've had like probably a generational run on if you've been sitting on them for a while. I mean, even if you just held the S&P from the start of the year, you're up massively. So it would make
yeah.
sense that that's going to be the first place many traders pull from and just say, okay, we'll
Mm,
rotate out on this. I'm up 30% since the start of the year. Why not? Let's go take a punt on SpaceX. So I think it does make a lot of sense. And I'd imagine, we will see this play out. It's just to what degree has that already happened versus how much are we
that's
going to
the
see that kind
question.
of happen today and beyond?
That's the big question. And just in general, the unfolding of the IPO, if so many, retail people are exposed and watching it, like what does it do in general towards, the feeling about the market, depending which direction it goes? I don't know. It
Yeah.
will be interesting for sure because, like I said, like so many things are at interesting spots. Like we have hype, which was very much like kind of like the bull leader for a really long time. We have it retesting previous all-time high from below, EMAs from below, kind of like it tries on a lower
Mm.
time frame to reclaim, but now we can see on a 4 hour, we still have a bit of time before we close, but bears are trying to push it down. We have Bitcoin and ETH around the lows. We have a lot of altcoins that did very nice runs. And this is like a clean trend, right? You can see
Yeah.
all the way up, and now we can see we are having trouble. And we kind of like cannot make up our minds. And we're seeing the same with a lot of the ones that were strong before, you can see here.
Something I
They're
think
all
is
having
kind of
issues.
interesting. They are all having issues, and I think something I've been thinking a little bit more about that. um, go back to last cycle, or go back to kind of like pandemic, meme stocks, and everything around that. When we had like huge major runs in the equity market, we didn't see a huge amount of capital being pulled out of crypto because there was kind of quite a separation of capital in those two places. We didn't have the ETFs, right? So there wasn't the same kind of capital that was just easily composable to flow in between crypto and then out into equities in a very easy, simple way. And we didn't have any tokenized equities or equities on centralized exchanges. Like at the time, FTX were kind of trying to do something, but it was very, very nascent. So there was this like distinct separation of pools of capital. We fast forward to today, and we've seen this really since the ETF that came through for Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, etc. Equities and crypto have definitely had significant decouplings during bullish momentum at various points. And so when we think about stuff like the SpaceX IPO, I think it's not just like people pulling out of ETFs anymore, but when you look, I mean, Kraken, like we're literally doing an IPO offering for SpaceX, and then you can just go trade on the Kraken platform, as can you across all on chain through like X stocks, there's hyperliquid perps, all of this. So the ability to just very quickly pull out of crypto to roll capital straight in on chain into like a major trading like day like this through to get exposure to SpaceX, it's just simpler than ever. And I do
Yep.
think there is something to that is maybe a little bit tough to directly measure that is contributing so much more in this year, last year to these kind of moments where we see capital rotation so much more aggressively impact crypto in a way that it hadn't in prior years.
100%. And it's only going to get worse with the years, you know? And I
Yeah.
think that's also why I've been advocating for like isolated strength and isolated momentum. Because I think, like, you know, when we discussed this many times, the times that everything is just going up, in my opinion, this, I don't want to say it's over, but it's going to be so much less than it was before. And I think like last week or the week before when we saw all those big pumps, it was only even like 8, 10 coins that did really well, you
Yeah.
know. So it's just like you really have to be like so selective with your watch list building, but then also be selective on when you're trading these things, right? Because I think like around here, and I tweeted about this too, I said like I think that the momentum to trade like altcoins like a crazy person is coming to an end, because we just saw like a lot of failure across the board. So it's
I
like you
don't think
don't
we've seen a
only.
time like that really since maybe the last time was what, November 2024, Trump getting in. And that was when like
Mm-hmm.
it was the last time we had a all of crypto is up. You could literally buy any shitter you want and you're up, right?
Good
It's just
times.
everything moved up at once. Yeah, it's good times, right?
So
But it
fun,
but it
yeah.
it is it's very different now. Even during moments when we've
Yeah.
had like nice runs, it's not even like it's been all memes are up. We've talked about this in other streams where it's just been like very, very focused winners. We talked a lot around the time of with Pump having some like really strong moves, Pengu,
Mm,
like going back to last year now this is, but the tail end of memes not moving with them, and I think we see similar stuff in some of these charts that you're talking about as well on the alt side.
100%. Yeah, and it just makes things interesting, right? Like you gotta look the right way, because it isn't like that anymore, that, you know, everything is pumping at the same time.
Mm.
To me, it almost makes things like easier in a way. Like you gotta know what you're doing, but if you do, and I think like emails are also really great for that because there's just, you cannot really deny like either a coin is above it or below it. It's not really
Yep.
subjective. Um, and I think that's a really big advantage these days, or well, advantage. I mean, everyone can put them on a chart, but if you know what you're doing, um, then that can be something that comes in handy. Yeah, for the summer, yeah, I'm still on the team that will probably have a slow summer. What about you?
I agree. I agree. I feel like the only thing that maybe does change that is SpaceX, and if we get an if that goes really well, and then OpenAI or Anthropic, whoever's going to go first. I think it's OpenAI are looking to go first.
I
Um,
thought they delayed.
oh,
Wasn't
have they
me.
delayed now? Well,
I
whoever
thought so.
goes first, basically after SpaceX, assuming SpaceX goes well, if they do that in the summer, I think, there's other waves of momentum. But I agree. I I don't like trading in the summer outside of those long time horizon entries. And
Agree.
that's about it.
Although I will say that I still think that like there will be a very few selective coins that are gonna try to put in their bottom earlier. Um, and we can see some attempts, right? Because I think like for something like Near, which is also like not a shitcoin in that sense. Like I mean everything is a shitcoin, but if
Yeah.
anything has a little bit fundamentals and is relevant right now, also with their numbers and whatsoever, I think this is one of those candidates. I personally think that like, this was the bottom for Near and that we're going to
Yeah.
base out somewhere here. And that this is that thing that I was talking about in the stream a month ago, where it's like most of these charts still look like mega dead. But then we have a few that put in like their first kind of like I'm coming out of the gutter kind of
Was it
pump.
Arthur that bought a bunch of near, and then did he sell them all again
Yeah,
a lot
he nuked
with
it.
hype?
He did.
He is he is an animal for that, isn't
But
he?
like crazy work, man. He is like giving $10 targets and then 12 hour later he just nukes it. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was luckily
But
already out, so that was nice because
I know you made a really nice trade on this one, right? And you called
yeah,
it
I
on the
sold
stream
on
as
the
well.
first, yeah, I sold it on the first run up, and I think his stuff happened here. So I was really
Yes.
happy because I actually had someone in my replies that was saying like, "Oh, I held it," and I was like, "Oh, well, you actually out traded me because they, were up a little bit more than I was at this point." And then Arthur tweeted like
Oh
6 hours after that. It's very sad.
God. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like the thing with Nia is it does, like you say, regardless of like how performant it is, it's built around being an intense platform and having that AI angle to it. Before all of the major AI hype, in fairness to it, I think you had another chart up, VVV, which I'm not super familiar with, but is that Eric Voorhees like
Think he's
AI?
affiliated. Yeah, pretty sure. Um, yeah,
I
this
haven't seen. This
I
is the first
was.
time I've seen this chart, to be completely honest.
Oh, unfortunately for me, it is not, and I've beat myself up over this many times because I should have not missed this. Like
Oh
this
yeah,
was
that's
embarrassing to miss as someone that preaches trends like I do. So,
that is a beautiful
but
trend.
it's
Not to
it's
make you
such a
feel
beautiful
worse.
trend. Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, I haven't really looked into the tech. I know some people that I like it. But yeah, if
Yes,
it
it's a
ever comes,
private. Yeah, this is it. It's the uncensored, like decentralized AI platform. I think it
mm,
is. I think it was Eric Voorhees that founded it, was it not? Fairness AI Eric Voorhees. Let me just double check.
yeah, if this
Yes,
comes
yeah.
down,
He's the founder. Yeah,
okay,
Voorhees is the
cool. Yeah,
founder. Yeah.
if this comes down, because I do need it, I think it needs like some, you know, it needs a cool off.
hmm
It could look something like Zcash, how Zcash did. I mean,
I was
listen,
just about to say that to you. Do you know what this reminds me of? That first run of
yes,
Zcash when we first started
yes,
saying, wow, look at that first run. And we were about halfway up that first run and we
yes,
are like,
like
it's
this,
crazy.
yeah.
It
However,
looks
guys,
like it. Yeah.
I will say I don't want to say anything about Zcash now because I don't know with the stuff the shit they have going on. Like I don't want to make any comments about that. Um, because
Just
I'm not
don't,
that
just
smart that I
don't, just
understand what
don't
would
ask
happen.
Claude. Don't ask Claude anything about Zcash,
No,
because you might break it again. That's the
yeah.
main thing.
No, this was wild. This was one of the charts that I actually tweeted around here when I was saying the market looked weak. But the fact that this happened was like, wow. I mean, listen, perfectly in the fib, right? And then spiked up, but yeah, I don't know about that. But I think this, yeah, this indeed is exactly what I meant with VVV. And then this is the type of cool down that these things often need, especially going into the summer with VVV. It could be nice to have like that base out and then somewhere on a strength scenario, like kind of, we also talked about this in the Fibonacci series,
Yeah.
about how this was such a nice reclaim to buy because you had both the confluence of fibs, but then also EMAs and market structure. Yeah, very, very beautiful.
Hmm. So you've been tracking VVV for a little while and you just didn't pull the trigger.
Well, I will say I saw one of my friends, Pierre, tweet about it a few times, but I don't know. I guess
I
I'm
mean,
just
look at the
not
time
updating
of the
my watch
chart as well.
lists.
Yeah. Also, just like look at the time of the chart. You know, we were talking in March, in Feb,
Yeah.
and I remember me and you saying, "Can you imagine taking a punt on an altcoin right now?" And both of us were just
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
"I
so
can't.
true.
I cannot." If you it like whoever did, amazing trade.
Yeah,
Like,
GG,
great.
honestly.
Yeah,
Isolated
great.
trading is
Yeah.
amazing. Good for you, right?
100%. Well, you did have a
Not
really
jealous at
nice win.
all.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Just don't tell it. Just don't at us.
Yeah.
But yeah, you did have a great trade on Injective, right? And we did
Yeah,
definitely talk about this one.
I did. I did.
This is
I
our
was
Dino
proud.
coin.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I'll clean up the chart. Because traded it here up to here, sold a little bit here, a little bit here, and then also when it went down. But this is a really good example of like how the chart seemed ready, but now it's kind of like, yeah, this is not like what you want to see.
No.
Um, for those who know EMAs a little bit, also recording a series on that one. Flat ones, retests, not super great. You want them to be sloping. If you're a bull, you want them to be sloping up, and if you're a bear, you want them to be sloping down whenever you retest, either from below in a bear trend or from above in a bull trend. And you can see here that they are completely flat. They're also in the wrong order for a bull market because the short one, which is the green one, should be above uh, the pink one. And we can just see here also, if we look at the lower time frame trends, this was so nice to trade, like, right? Like this momentum. This is where I was punting like a lot of altcoins. But
Mm,
then now here, it's just not like, it's not giving me any confidence these last few weeks. Like, and sure, these dips are nice, don't get me wrong, like this is from the highs to here, this is a beautiful percentage down. um but the question is just whether it's gonna go up from
yeah.
where it went down to, and I don't have that answer. I don't have a very clear read on the market right now. The same is with hype, right? Like every time I look at it the past hours, I'm like, did I nuke my position at the right time or did I not? Like,
Hmm.
it's just, and that's not how I like to feel when I'm looking at the
No.
market. I like to feel super confident, which during those few weeks that I caught near and INJ and WorldCoin, I felt like very confident on the entries. And here I'm just like, if you would show me a chart in 12 hours from now and it's completely pumped or it's completely nuked, I would both believe you.
What's on your watch list then at the moment? Because I know we were talking a little bit about kind of compiling watch lists, especially
Hmm.
around this time. What for you are you starting to kind of pull together to be tracking over the coming days, weeks, summer, months?
Great question. I see I'm not logged in, so I don't have it here, and I will save you guys my login credentials. But near is one
We'll
for
tweet we'll
sure.
tweet those out after, Dan. Don't worry. We'll get
Perfect,
them to everyone.
perfect. Retweets from all accounts. But no, usually if you're logged in, you can compile a beautiful watch list here on Kraken. Near is definitely on there. I like it a lot from both the fundamental side as well as the chart itself. Then we have, I mean, this one is very dicey because it's just the whole Altman situation I don't really like. I
Yeah.
did trade it quite a bit the past few weeks, but I will say it's one of the few
It's a
that's
nice looking
above
chart
its
though.
it's above its EMAs, but it has overhang just fundamentally and with the float also.
Yeah.
One thing that is on my radar, which I'm sure you're gonna laugh about, is XBL. Yes, I
I
know.
mean, it's
Very funny,
consistent
right?
because we've shit on this coin a lot over the past year or however long it's been. But I think 2 episodes ago, we talked a little bit about this chart and how, funnily enough, it was starting to look like it was trying to put a bottom in. And
Yeah.
I remember when we did um, that episode, which was, I think, prior to 1010. So lots changed then. And you were talking a little bit about the Eigen chart and how it's kind of like
Mm.
the I'm new here kind of
Yep.
look and how things bottomed out. And this, when you start talking about it, just started reminding me a lot in that past couple of episodes of that same situation. So I can
100%.
understand where you're coming from on this.
Yeah, to me, honestly, like, listen, this has gone down so much. So I think, like, in that case, I really want to see some strength. I saw some of my internet friends in a Discord channel, catching it super early around here, I believe. I did not, because I frankly did not have this on my radar. Neither did I have, nor did I have any alerts. I think the main challenge for this is this area here.
Yeah.
Um, if we can break above that, then we conquer these range highs, the EMA and also the diagonal, and as well as like these lows, they're all kind of in that same area. On the retest to the downside, I wouldn't really like be interested too much because this is like way too choppy for me. And frankly, like we haven't really done any significant work. Like, let's be honest, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
know in a week like this where things feel shaky, it's really exciting to see green. I mean, I believe it's up. Like, yeah, you can see here the 24-hour change is insane, right? But that doesn't mean that it's like, a good idea to just blindly enter that because, if you really look at it, it's barely a positive market structure in my opinion. I do think there's something with it on the news side. I don't know if you have any intel on that, but I thought I saw like something circulating,
I have
a narrative, like I don't know.
I haven't heard
But that,
anything about this coin in a long time, to be completely
well,
honest.
your algorithm on X
My
probably
algo's just tuned it
learned.
out for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
But
get it. I get it.
but I mean, to
No,
be honest, there's just this little move here. It's a very different looking chart, but I don't know how much you've been looking at the Doge chart. I mean, it's not been pretty viewing for quite some time. But I mean, Doge just had like you see where I'm coming from here. This like
yeah.
little move that is trying to put in as well. Have we bottomed out? It reminds me kind of a lot of the same chart that we were just looking at as
Hmm.
well. A lot of
Yeah,
work to do, but yeah.
just coming into these lows. So that's why I kind of like to focus. I'm curious if we have it here on Kraken with history. Yes. So this is another thing that I'm watching. Very old one. This thing goes back like,
Oh my
ooh.
God, I have not heard of this token in a long
Yeah,
time.
but it's also their numbers. I would have to, I don't want to say things that I'm not sure about, but they're like tokens processed. They're like an AI situation
Yep.
as well. I just saw the data the other day. The founder, Greg is his name, posted it on X, and I was like
Yeah.
super impressed with it. The numbers like are
Interesting.
really, really good. Yeah, they're very active. And this is one of those things where it's also like, okay, this is a pretty um, silent mover in my opinion, because I don't see anyone tweeting about this on the timeline.
No, I
Whereas,
haven't heard
it
anyone
has
talking about Akash in oh,
no
quite
in
some time.
ages,
Yeah.
right? Whereas, like, if you look at the charts, it looks so much better than a lot of these charts, and it is relevant
I
because
think it
it
was around the
clearly,
similar time frame ish where of like Nia when that first was getting hypey.
Yep, correct.
So yeah, it's probably similar cohort. I wonder if it's somewhat benefiting as well from the interest around Nia that's had as well. But yeah, it's interesting kind of coming into that support zone as well, what it's going to do from here.
Absolutely. And then I think so that's on my watch list too. Then I think this is something, yeah, I think Kraken has a bit of a choppy charts.
Yeah,
So I won't, oh, that, no, this is actually not LiDAR, never mind.
no.
No, I don't think we have LiDAR. But LiDAR, the hype competitor, is something that's on my mind as well. It has a nice chart, which you
What
guys can
do
look up.
you think of the gold standard of meme coins that is Trump?
Oh God.
I think it's up 30% on the day or something like that. No, okay,
I cannot.
16%. Should we bring
Yeah.
ourselves? Oh, there we go.
I
There's
mean,
the
listen, better than most, but
yes.
out of principle, I will not. I will only short this. Sorry, guys. I'm not gonna give my long opinions on this.
But there
Short
is
only.
like interesting pockets that we're seeing for sure of like uh of random memes and other tokens. I mean, I'm honestly, Den, I am just happy that we're even able to jump into charts fresh like this and see
Oh,
decent
I
moves on
know.
the daily versus 2 months. Like March was just the absolute worst. It was like one of the worst I've
So
ever
bad.
felt in crypto. Nothing
I know.
moved.
I hate it also. Like I love the vibes like with my friends in the chat and like people trading together, just alerts going off. Like I thrive on that shit, you know? So it's
Ah,
like whenever
it's
it gets
great.
boring, I'm just like, listen, I have a lot of passions in life and a lot of friends and beautiful partners. So it's like I will entertain myself, sure. But it's like I much rather entertain myself while we're also going up. That's
With the
just
dopamine, please. Yes.
yes, exactly. Oh, this is
Yeah.
the last one that I thought looked good before, but now we're kind of stalling, but just one of the very few that's also trying to make its way above
Oh,
EMAs.
yes, it's
And I
Cheetah.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, and they had the GTX, their perp situation coming out or
Okay.
already came out? Don't know. Yeah, it's still, guys, it's not a lot. There's not a ton of charts that look amazing. I will say that. But the few ones that do uh, are an easy focus. Add them to your watch lists and just keep an eye on those. Put some alerts, which you can do in Kraken Pro. And yeah, I think still a bit of patience. You know, like in my opinion, this will take some time to repair. Like either we're gonna, just reject here and then go lower, or we're gonna fix this structure. But right now, it's kind of like a no trade zone for me. Not necessarily because of the levels that we're at, but just more because of the lack of strength.
Yeah. I kind of feel
Yeah.
where we are right now is this is like you need to have your curated list that you're tracking ready and just try to be patient and have a plan around a lot of these. The biggest thing in
Yes.
my mind is like I think we talked about this around the beginning of the year, near where we had that nice run in the first couple of weeks coming into January. And we talked about like we felt like there was a lot of landmines ahead. And there
Mm-hmm.
certainly is right now, which I haven't felt actually in a few weeks. And I think right now you've got obviously the SpaceX big move, a lot of volatility. It could either be very, very good for the market or it could be very, very bad for the market. I don't think it's going to be a nothing perker. But then there's
Mm-hmm.
also this undercurrent as well for me where we're on our classic Friday night. Trump yesterday
Oh
had been
God.
shouting a
True.
lot about
Yeah.
Iran, and I, yeah, I just think like if there was a day where I'm not gonna trade, it's probably today,
A
because I
hundred
just feel like
percent.
anything can happen over this weekend and around this time, and you know, not to be too cynical, but if I was thinking about when could Trump deliver some like bad news, it's like wow, into a ton of noise around SpaceX IPO and all this stuff is maybe a good time. So there's a lot
Yep.
more there. We also, by the way, we have the Fed rate decision next week. Now, I
Oh,
think
what
everyone
day?
forgot about this,
I did.
but yeah, and I look, I think the consensus is certainly that they're just going to hold steady, but it is the first meeting where we hear from Kevin Walsh, and we need to understand whether he
Mm.
is going to remain kind of well, whether he's going to have more of a dovish or a hawkish skew, and that is going to be widely anticipated, and I imagine we'll get a lot of volatility around the comments after that. So another
What day
big
is
one.
it? Do you know?
Um, Let me just check before we go. It's usually like a Wednesday, but I could be wrong. US. Let me just fill in my calendar that I've got. Uh, where are we? Oh, I've got the dates wrong. I think maybe it's Friday. Let me just do Fed rate decision. Should just Google actually helps.
Forex
Uh,
Factory. Uh-huh.
rate action table. Oh my God, why am I struggling so much here?
It's
June
Wednesday.
16th to
You're right.
17th. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
So
Okay, so another volatile week.
definitely a bunch of economic
Cool.
data alongside that's going to be coming out. So, you know, a
Yeah,
lot
and we also
can
see with
happen.
ES, by the way, guys, so the last thing I will say about this chart and for our emails is that we like push up and really try like near the highs and then nuke, you know? I've seen that a
Yeah.
lot of times on ES. So that would be super interesting. Any like relevant high that we take out and then reject, whether it's this one or this one, yeah, that will be something I'm watching for sure. I think much better days are coming soon. So
I agree.
that is
I feel very like it's probably the first time this year where I felt uh quite like cautiously optimistic, but more like I guess maybe the way I would frame where I'm at right now is I feel good that the worst is out of the way now. And that for me is a good feeling. And yeah, like that
this would be
chart, that what you're
ideal.
drawing out feels like my base case as well. And I
Please.
feel pretty good being positioned for that.
Yeah, this would be so ideal.
Yeah,
Dear
come
God.
into the end of Q4 with a strong like move up, that'd be spectacular. Be great.
Yes, voting for that. And in the meantime, we're gonna focus on isolated strength, but not push it if it's not there. And we're gonna keep you posted. And hopefully take
100%.
a lot more altcoin trades together towards the end of the year.
Yeah, that's when it starts to get very fun. All right. We have,
Awesome.
it's probably the longest we've ever gone, actually, maybe today on a stream, but I feel like it was worth it. We had a lot to talk about.
For
Um,
sure. Agree.
and as always, amazing commentary, analysis, charting, Den. So appreciate all of that. And thanks everyone for tuning in as well. We'll have the full replay coming out pretty much straight away after this, and then we'll get the write up that will get shared out on the Kraken blog. So make sure you follow at Kraken Pro, at Kraken FX, follow at Dentoshi, at Matthew Barbie, myself, and we'll be back for the next trading spaces soon. Thanks so much, Den. We'll see you then.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.